Rickie Fowler is one of the most famous and popular golfers in recent history. The story of his golf swing is a fascinating one, because he's an incredibly talented player, one whose career has brought him big wins and prestigious records and millions of dollars. Yet he's forced to confront the same problem that so many golfers do. The problem of what feels natural and what is most consistent. And, of course, how to balance the two. Let's take a closer look. When they first take up the game, lots of junior golfers often learn to swing with clubs that are slightly too long or too heavy. Rickie, a self-taught player from a middle-class town in California, almost certainly did too. And just like we see the effects in Brooke Henderson's or John Daly's long backswings, we can spot the same effects in young Rickie Fowler's homegrown, one-of-a-kind backswing too. Perhaps the easiest way to understand what was happening in Rickie Fowler's old move is to watch closely how the club head moved during his swing. The club head is the heaviest part of the club, and every golfer moves it around slightly differently based on how they're built. Young Rickie started his swing by dragging the club head outside his hands, using the bigger muscles in his chest and torso. It gave the early part of his backswing a similar, albeit less exaggerated, look to Matt Wolff. But whereas Wolff uses the muscles in his arms to start lifting and tilting the club more vertically during the second half of his backswing, Fowler kept turning the club around him. It's what gave Rickie's old swing its recognisable flat and laid-off look at the top. This happened in part because of gravity. Like many junior golfers, when Rickie was young he lacked the arm strength required to move the club the way he wanted to. So instead, he just kept turning, and his arms sort of followed the club along with it. This caused the weight of the club head to drop really far behind his body, and the club head stays back there even as his arms begin his downswing. A bit like how the weight of a ball causes a pitcher's arm to lag behind the rest of his body. Over time, that move became ingrained in his golf swing, even as he got bigger and stronger. This process landed Rickie in what many teachers consider a prototypically stuck position on the downswing, which is what happens when your arms get too far behind the rest of your body. When your arms get stuck behind you like this, they generally need to rely heavily on your hands in order to get the club back out in front of you quickly in order to avoid missing shots out to the right. It's something lots of good young players struggle with, including a young Tiger Woods. Simply put, it required Rickie to keep a lot of different plates spinning at the same time in his golf swing. If one small thing went wrong, so did the others. It's why young Rickie tended to be a streaky ball striker. Some years it was good, and other years it was less good. When his hot putter started to cool off, that's when his results did too. But that's starting to change, thanks to some new feels that show up in his backswing, as he told Sports Illustrated earlier this year. For me, it's really all takeaway based, he said. If I get the first half of the takeaway in a good spot, it kind of sets me up. Whereas in Rickie's old takeaway the club head would move outside, now he wants the club to feel more connected to his body, so it tracks parallel to his target line. From there, instead of rolling the club out and around him like in his old swing, Rickie wants to move the club more vertically up towards the sky. This lands his right arm in a better spot at the top of his backswing, which helps his arms track down more in front of his body on the downswing. Put simply, Rickie wants his golf swing to move more up and down and less around. That creates, in Rickie's own words, cleaner lines in his golf swing for more consistency. The challenge now is taking that change from the range to the course. It doesn't always feel comfortable, Rickie says, but it's getting better and better. It's a process we can all relate to. Overriding some of your natural tendencies doesn't happen overnight, and it requires a lot of hard work. And with a little more time, it won't be long until Rickie takes his range swing to the golf course and enjoys some great results because of it.